Maniac is a 1980 slasher film directed by William Lustig. Frank Zito is a schizophrenic living in New York with an obsession with murdering women and scalping them. Frank tries to fight these urges, but just can't help himself. The film was banned for obscenity in certain locations and has since grown a cult following. Howdy folks, welcome back to Garage Slasher-thon, where every day for the month of October we revisit a slasher movie. Today we talk about Maniac. She's a maniac, maniac. No, not that Maniac. Frank Zito. A lot of the slasher movies we've been talking about, it's always like a girl or a group of friends and it's told through their point of view. And every so often when you get a movie like Peeping Tom did this, but this one is another one like it. It doesn't happen too often, but you get a slasher movie where the film focuses mostly on the slasher. And this is one of them. This guy is very much your kind of Norman Bates kind of character, but the complete opposite of a Norman Bates. Norman Bates was suave, he was cool, he was charismatic. This isn't the case for a good old Frank Zito. Frank Zito looks like a big ball of grease, for lack of a better term. Not the most attractive guy out there. Nothing really going for him in life. He just looks like a big tub of lard who's a creepy guy and likes to murder women and scalp them and make love to them while he puts them on a mannequin. Kind of a weird fetish. He'll just scalp the heads of these women, put the scalp on a mannequin, and then sleep with the mannequin. Weird obsession. Guys, this movie is boring. There, I said it. It's boring. Don't watch this movie. It was very boring. What was interesting is that I knew this movie got remade with Elijah Wood in it. And that's what kind of piqued my interest to watch this, because I still haven't seen the Elijah Wood version of the movie. But this is a very boring movie to watch. There's nothing really else to say. This guy is a complete freak. He's not fun to watch. Like Norman Bates, when you watch him on screen, yes, he's a very awful human being, but there's some kind of charisma that just draws you to that performance. And same with any charismatic serial killer. I think of a Christian Bale in American Psycho. This guy is just way too hateable for me to like him, and he's the main focal point of the story. So I just really had no interest in his character. I wasn't really interested in his life. He had no charisma, nothing to chew on. He was just a very crusty, gross person. And that's kind of the appeal of the movie. It's like that creepy guy that you just kind of neglect in life. He's the focus of the movie, and you're getting a day in his life. It's kind of that Joker. Why kind of Joker blew up is because the whole message of the Joker was how society sidelined Joker. Kind of the same idea here. This guy is just a freak who lives on the outskirts of society. But there's some kind of charisma to Joker. No charisma to this guy. He's just way too hateable for me to give a fuck about what he's doing. A lot of the things that are done in this movie are tropes we've seen before in other slasher movies. That whole idea of obsessing with voyeurism was done in Peeping Tom. His reasoning for putting these women's scalps on mannequins, he tries to explain it. He tries to give some deep poetic meaning to it. But it's something you've seen in Peeping Tom before, and it was done much better in Peeping Tom compared to this movie. And it adds a trope I hate in these kind of serial killer movies like Joker or this movie. One of the tropes I hate is that these people are so obviously mentally ill, so obviously not okay in the brain, yet somehow they get a love interest. It's completely baffling. And the love interest they get, usually it's a hotter woman. Joker had Zazie Beetz. I'm sorry, Joaquin Phoenix in that movie, he did not deserve a Zazie Beetz. And I get it, she was a hallucination. I don't care. That was some twist they threw in at the end. But this guy in this movie gets a half-decent girlfriend at some point in the movie. And I'm like, why? This guy has zero redeemable qualities. He's obviously a serial killer. If this guy was just walking in New York, I would point at him and be like, that's a serial killer. I'm pretty sure that's a serial killer. He's so obviously a serial killer. It's so uninteresting to watch. And like when you see this character succeed all of a sudden, you're like, well, why did that happen? There's nothing to suggest that this guy can get a woman like that. Why is all of a sudden he getting this really cute girl? What is going on? Is she that stupid? It just really takes me out of the movie when shit like that happens. Overall, the movie, it tries to find this balance between being a campy, fun movie and an actual serious movie, which is why I want to see that Elijah Wood movie, because it seems to have a much serious tone and a much more dramatic tone, whereas this kind of feels like tone deaf, because you do have makeup effects by Tom Savini, and the makeup effects are very violent and vulgar, but there is that element of camp that kind of goes with that element of exploitation, but it just doesn't fit with what this movie is trying to do, which is kind of put you in the mind of a serial killer. That's some very deep subject matter, some very tricky subject matter, and I feel like the presentation of the movie was just, oh yeah, it's an exploitation movie. It's a little jarring. I wish they kind of picked a lane, either go the goofy, campy trauma route, or a very deep dive into the psyche of a serial killer. But instead, you kind of just get the middle lane, which is never interesting. You pick a lane. I will say, the ending kind of saved the movie. The ending becomes so ridiculous. I'm like, okay, I'm with it all of a sudden. So this guy, basically, you're following him as he's roaming around New York City and abducting women and scalping them until all of a sudden, towards the end of the third act, the line between what's real and what's fake kind of gets blurred in his mind because he is schizophrenic. And the ending of the movie is him lying in bed with the zombified versions of his victims, and they're just completely butchering him. And it's a scene I'm sure Tom Savini had a lot of fun doing. Guys, this is the second movie in a row in this marathon where the third act has a complete save by Tom Savini. Thank God for Tom Savini. He's a genius. He's a gem. He must be protected at all costs. Guys, have you seen Maniac? Did you like it? Comment below. Let me know. And I'll see you guys tomorrow for more Garage Slasher-thon. Take care.
Maniac. It will tear the life out of you.